Hello, I'm Kevin Hayes, the Storyman, and this is the Nightly Bedtime Story Podcast, where you can hear a bedtime story every night. Tonight's bedtime story is one I wrote myself. It's called Sparky the Firefly. I hope you like it. Sparky the Firefly, written by Kevin Hayes, the Storyman. Once upon a time, there was a firefly named Sparky. Whenever he lit up his light, he was the brightest and most beautiful firefly in the sky. All of the other fireflies would come to watch his light show and cheer him on. He loved to put on his light show for his fans and was always trying to be just a little brighter than he was the night before. One beautiful summer night, all the fireflies were gathered round by a big tree, waiting for Sparky. Some were sitting on branches and leaves, others hovering in the air, and all were chanting, "Sparky, Sparky, Sparky." Sparky was watching from a flower a ways away. He saw that the crowd was huge. He smiled and was determined to make his show the brightest ever that night. "Sparky, Sparky, Sparky." Sparky zoomed into the middle of the crowd. He started blinking his butt really fast and swinging it in a circle. The crowd cheered, "Woohoo! Woohoo!" Then Sparky motioned with his little arms for the crowd to be quiet. Everyone was silent, watching to see what Sparky would do next. Sparky lit his light. "Yay!" they yelled. He scrunched up his face, and it got brighter and brighter. The crowd cheered. He scrunched his face more. It got brighter still. They cheered more and more. Then Sparky took a deep breath, scrunched his face up really hard, and put all the oomph he could into his light. It got so bright that all the other fireflies had to cover their eyes a bit. "Ooh, ah," they said. Then Sparky put in one more big oomph into his light, and his butt exploded, like a firework. The crowd was silent, while millions of beautiful sparkles fell in a shower down to the ground. Then everyone yelled, "Yay, Sparky!" Sparky was just hovering in midair, with a crooked smile on his face, a deflated backside, and a twitch in his left eye. Then the crowd just flew away and left poor Sparky all by himself. "Whoo!" Sparky looked around. "Whoo!" "What?" asked Sparky. "Who, not what," said an owl. "What?" asked Sparky. "I said who. I guess you found out who your real friends were." Sparky looked around and didn't see anybody. "I guess so. Now what do I do? I don't have a light, which means no more show. I must admit it was fun to watch every night. My name is Howl." "Howl the owl?" asked Sparky. "No, Howl the ostrich. Yes, Howl the owl. Now, if you will look down for once, you will see that there is a lot of animals that always come to your show, that you never even noticed." Sparky looked down. Below him were lots of animals of different kinds: squirrels, rabbits, raccoons, a possum, a turtle, and even a beaver. "Oh," said Sparky. "Sorry, everybody, but I guess the show is over." "Nope," said the turtle. "The show must go on." "How? I don't have any light. My butt exploded." "Whoo!" said Howl the owl. "Oh, now don't start that again," said Sparky. "Listen, it's not a question of how, it's a question of who can fix it," said Howl the owl. All the other animals began whispering to each other. Then they all looked toward a big rock with a hole under it, and they all started to chant, "Mortimer, Mortimer, Mortimer." Then out of the hole came a rat. The rat climbed up on the rock and sat down. He was scrawny and really pretty small for a rat. He was gray and white. He looked very old, and he wore very thick, round, black-rimmed glasses. He said, "Mortimer is here. What is it?" "It said the Owl, "is an exploded butt." He nodded his head toward Sparky. "Ah, so it is. And I suppose you want Mortimer to fix it." "Oh, yes, please," said the Owl. "Why should I?" asked Mortimer. "Because you will miss the show just as much as everybody else. I know you watch it out of that dingy old hole of yours," said the Owl. Very well. Come down here and stand on this rock, Sparky. Mortimer will fix this like he fixes everything else. And I'll even throw in a little extra to make the show better than it was before, because that's what Mortimers do." Sparky shrugged his shoulders and said, "What do I have to lose?" as he landed on the rock. Mortimer disappeared into his hole and came back out with a long, flat box and a small bag of things. He called to the raccoon. "I will need a, hand with this, Ralph." Ralph the raccoon stepped up onto the box. Mortimer whispered his instructions to him, slid the flat box toward him, and handed him a short piece of string. After a few minutes, Sparky was standing there with a large sparkler tied to his backside, and Ralph was holding a match in his little raccoon hand. Mortimer motioned to Billy the Beaver to step up to the rock. Sure," said Billy. What do you want me to do?" "Nothing," said Mortimer. "Just stand there with those big old huge teeth of yours sticking out of your face as usual." "Shirky-dokey," said Billy. Sparky saw what was about to happen. "Hey, wait a second, is this safe?" Mortimer said, "Nope. You want back in showbiz or not?" The turtle said, "The show must go on." "Okay," said Sparky. "Light him up, Ralph." The raccoon struck the match on Billy the Beaver's teeth. Say, said Billy, as the match flamed up. Ralph held the match to the head of the sparkler and lit it. Sparks shot out from Sparky's backside. Everybody said, "Ooh, ah." The Owl said, "Well, kind of pretty, but not much of a show, Mortimer. And the sparkler is so heavy his wings won't be strong enough to fly." Sparky was trying to take off, but couldn't. The other fireflies started hovering around the rock. They started to laugh and make fun of Sparky. Sparky was very disappointed, and so were all the animals. They were all shaking their heads, and all the fireflies were laughing. The turtle said, "The show must go on." "Oh, it will," said Mortimer. "You should know better than to doubt the great Mortimer." He reached into his bag and pulled something out, sitting it in front of Sparky. "Take a bite of that." Sparky looked at it. "It's just a bean." "No, it's a magic bean. Now take a bite." Sparky took a huge bite of the magic bean. "Wow," said Mortimer. "That was a big bite." "It didn't work," said Sparky, as he stood there on the rock in the black of night, with a sparkling sparkler tied to his butt, with all the animals watching, and a huge cloud of lightning bugs laughing and hovering above him. Mortimer began a countdown. 5. Sparky got a strange look on his face. 4. Sparky's body began to swell. 3. Sparky's eyes began twitching, and his face scrunched up. 2. "Look out!" said Billy. 1. Sparky let out a loud, ripping toot. The gas, escaping his swollen body, hit the sparkler, and he lit up like a rocket. Phoom! Sparky shot up into the night sky, right through all of the laughing fireflies that went tumbling down in all directions, little balls of fire and falling light. Sparky shot through the night sky like a sparkling rocket, and disappeared. Everybody yelled, "Yay, Sparky!" And then they went silent. Sparky was gone. But then they began to hear a faint, sizzling noise. Billy the Beaver's eyes got real big. "Look out!" But there wasn't time. Sparky came right toward them and flew right into Mortimer's hole under the rock. A big explosion, lots of different colored lights and sparkles and flames shot out of the hole, and then everything fizzled out, and there was just a blue-colored smoke. "Poor Sparky," they all said. Then Sparky walked out of the hole, coughed out a little smoke, and said, "We, my new friends, are going to need some more sparklers and a bigger bean." Everybody yelled, "Yay, Sparky!" The end. I hope you liked tonight's bedtime story, Sparky the Firefly, written by Kevin Hayes the Storyman. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can listen to a free bedtime story every night. I'm Kevin Hayes the Storyman. I'll be here tomorrow night to read you another bedtime story. But for tonight, good night.